Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio today. And in this video, I want to take you through how to price a video. And I want to answer that question for you. Have you been undercharging? And this is something I did back when I started, and I was really severely undercharging myself, and I didn't even know what upmark was or margin. And so I was pretty much just pricing the jobs for my hourly rate, really. I wasn't including my gear. I wasn't including any margin on top. I wasn't including any exports and uploads. It was literally just the shoot cost, direct costs, and the edit cost. And that was really severely hindering me. So I worked out the pricing model that I've stuck with over the last couple of years, and it's meant that I've been able to take what was once a $1,000 video, and now I charge maybe $3,000 to $4,000 for that exact same video. And I've taken, maybe it was a $2,000 or $3,000 video, and now that's up around $6,000 to $7,000. And so I want to take you through that in this video. Might be a little bit of a longer video. I'm going to do some stuff on the screen with graphics as well, so you're going to get a feel for how this all plays out. So my first point is that you want to make sure that you're charging as if somebody else is doing the job. So let's say you are a producer or you're a cinematographer, maybe you have your own production company and you want to charge a video. Well, you've got to make sure that you put someone in place of you. So if you were to pay someone to do that job, what would it cost you? That's kind of the cost basis. That's what you would sort of look at for the cost of doing that video. But then if you think about that, you don't want to just get the payment from the client and then directly pay that to your contractor and then that's it. You need to make sure that there's a margin on that because your company is employing or is contracting that person, if you think about it like that. So whilst the client might be working directly with you, you've still got to look at yourself as a billable item to your business. So whether you're a freelancer, whether you do it all under your own name, you're still a billable item to your own business. So essentially you have to make sure that you are charging yourself out at the right rate. You're then adding the margin on top of that. Maybe there's a 20 or 30% up mark on your time for what you do. Maybe it's more than that. So that's my first point. The second thing is that you need to include gear. So something we neglect is that we think, oh, well, we're buying all the gear, we've got all the gear, and therefore we can charge, our hourly rate, and the gear just comes with us. So we've got lighting kits, we're going to bring our cameras, we're going to bring our lens kit, we're going to bring the stands and everything that goes along with a shoot. But all of that has cost you money to acquire. And so in a normal scenario, let's say the client was doing the production themselves. They were hiring the cinematographer, they were hiring the lighting person or the equipment to do the job. Then they would need to include that cost. So if they're coming to you and saying, look, we want you to come and shoot it, we want your equipment, we want your lighting, your lenses, there is a cost attached to that. So that's kind of a gear rental / cost. Now, I don't actually charge that as a line item. I basically make sure that my hourly rate includes paying back that gear over a certain period of time. So maybe if I've got a whole new kit, let's say I get a new cinema camera every 3 years. Well, I want to make sure I include money in the quote that can pay that back over that period. And it's as if I've purchased that item for my business, but then I'm renting that item out over the next 3 years in order to pay it back. So whatever that looks like for you. And rental is something that's always harder to price and harder to quote and harder to get people to agree to. So that's why I put it into my overall hourly rate. So I say, look, if I come with just me, my hourly rate is, let's say, $160. If I come with my camera and gear, it's $190. If I come with lighting and everything job lot, it's like $230 per hour, something like that. So that's the way that you can easily not hide the cost, but eliminate questions around rental. But then as you get up into higher production levels, there will be a rental element and a rental component in every budget. So that's where if you're bringing your gear, you've got to utilize that rental component in order to get your gear on site and get that paid for as well. And that's another way that you can make money as well. So my point number 3 is the overheads point. Now, there's costs associated with just running your business. Like, for example, you need to hold insurances to be able to be on site most of the time. If you're contracted, you might be able to come under the production company that you're contracted with, but generally speaking, you want to have your own insurances. There's things like subscriptions to the editing software that you use. There might be costs associated with registering your business name and having your business continually have a website that's up and running. You might be doing marketing and sales. You might have a team that you need to pay. So these are considered as overheads within the business. And as the business grows, the overheads of the business grow. So not to say that your price will go up through the roof as soon as you expand the business, but generally speaking, you've got to make sure that you are including those associated costs as you go along, and they should be baked into your price as well. And it's not a line item that says overheads, but again, including that into your hourly rate. So for example, if you want to take home $50 per hour for your time, then you want to add your overhead costs onto that. So that maybe means that for $75 per hour, you take home 50, but that $25 extra is your overhead component, which helps you to cover your costs of doing business and marketing to new clients and putting out content, putting out your portfolio, doing all that behind the scenes stuff that costs you money. So having an overhead component, and then you want to do a markup as well. So you might only mark up that $50, that hourly rate. So therefore your hourly rate is going to be $75 around about. And then you're going to add your overhead on top of that. So already you're at around $100 just from paying yourself that $50. So it's double what the actual charge out would be if you want to make sure that your overheads are covered and you've got that 30 to 40% margin as well on top. So hopefully this is helping you. And certainly when I began to learn all these things, it really did help me to price a job and to be confident with that pricing. The last thing you want to do is to send a price and say at the end of the email, I hope you have budget for this. You want to be confident with the price that you're sending and making sure that the client is aware that this is my price. I've thought about this, I've lined item this, you can see everything and the breakdowns of this. And so this is essentially what it costs me to produce this video for you. And there's an authenticity that comes with that. And even if I've been more expensive than, the other quote, or if I'm on a job where I'm quoting against 3 or 4 other companies, oftentimes with the transparency of my quoting and my one-on-one, either with the client or through a Zoom call and that face-to-face interaction, I end up winning the job anyway because of that transparency. Where people are trying to hide things and not tell the full story, I'm pretty open book with my quoting, and that's worked really, really well for me. And the fact that I'm confident, I know what the costs associated is, and I also know what the business is going to benefit from my video work. I know that they're going to make sales off the videos I produce. So I'm confident that they're investing their money in me, and I'm going to produce a product for them that they're going to make money out of. And there's not going to be any problems at all for them in terms of getting me to do the job. They're not going to lose money, and I'm confident in that. So I can project that confidence as well in my quoting and in the calls that I take with the clients, or the face-to-face meetings that I have with the clients. And that's a good way to bring them over the line when you're very confident that you know what you're producing is going to deliver results for your clients. So point number 4 is to include everything as line items. Now, I've heard that this isn't the right approach. Some would want to kind of have just a rate, a one-off rate. This video is 2,000, this video is 3,000, this video is 4,000, a 2-day shoot is 4,000, a 3-day shoot is 5,000. Like, they want to have these hard and fast rules. But what I've found is when you get into the higher end stuff and bigger companies, they put it through their system and they want to know, okay, what are we paying for here? And if they can sort of tick through line by line, then what tends to happen is if they've got a budget constraint or an issue with one of the items, they'll just say, hey, pre-production, can you explain what $800 charge for pre-production includes? And then I can go back and say, this is what essentially this line item is. And I can tick off exactly how many hours we'll be spending on pre-production in that particular production. And I can say, these are the things that this line item will produce in order to carry out the rest of the shoot. So let's say pre-production item, let's say mine is generally 400 to 800, depending on whether there's a storyboarding or mood boarding concept session involved. It's 400 for basic pre-production, which is scheduling, call sheets, all that kind of thing, mobilizing the site, doing a location scout if required. And then it's 800 if there's storyboarding, concept development, and more like that. And that can blow up into something a lot bigger depending on how much we do of the creative development as well. You want to make sure you've got your line items so that if a bean counter, an accountant actually looks at it, they can see where their money is going and they can see that everything is legit and above board. And if they have any budget constraints or any considerations, they can ask you specifically about one of those line items. When it's just a big chunk of cash, like 5,000 or 6,000 for a video, and they look at it, it's kind of overwhelming. But when you break down all the costs, you can see how, okay, yeah, this is an extra cost. For example, I would include your export and your upload cost, because every revision that you do requires exporting and uploading. So that can take, depending on your internet speed, anywhere from 15, 20 minutes, depending on the size of the video file as well. So I include 2 revisions with every project that I do, 2 rounds of revisions, but I charge the client for those 2 rounds. Now, if they come back and they want a late change or a last minute change and they say, oh, hey, we just need you to quickly change this, I say, great, this is the 3rd round of revision now, and the charge for that is, as per the line items on the quote, this amount of money, because it's a touch point. I have to open their file on the computer. I have to open their project and let that open. I have to look at the video. I have to go to the point in the video where they're wanting me to cut or make that change. I've got to make that change and make it work. It could take half an hour. I've then got to export that again into my computer. Then I have to upload it. Then I have to send the email. So all these touch points are costing me money. And if I don't quote for that, when you go and say, oh, yes, that extra revision is $350. They're like, what? You just have to change the one clip and that's $350? And you say, yeah. But if you've already had that in the quote before, they can look back at the quote you've already sent and they can approve it on the spot without any questions. So with all of these additions, you may have not been quoting enough. And with all these things I've suggested, maybe you are way, way under. And I would say that was where I was as well. So I essentially was charging maybe $1,000 to $1,500 for a video when I started. And the quality wasn't as good as my videos now, of course, but I was still producing value for clients. And one of the videos we produced very early on, we did it for a very good price. And we put in a lot of effort. So we wanted to make sure we had something for our portfolio. And you tend to do that in the early days as well if you really want to get your business up and running. So you're putting in that effort to make a video that is worth much more to the client than what they're actually paying for it at the time. So that's a good thing to start out that way. But I can say that I've probably tripled my price over the last 5 years, 6 years of doing this. And now I'm sort of in that mid to top echelon of pricing, which means I don't get every job. So my point number 5 is don't look to convert every single client. Make sure you talk about the budget with the client early and get on the same page about what your services cost and how much money they have. It's no use to just continue working with clients who don't have enough budget. Right now it's January and I've got to be honest with you, there isn't a lot going on in January usually for me. And it's a time of stress because I basically want to get work going. I'm ready to go. I've been in the studio now. This is the middle of my 2nd week. And I just want to get the ball rolling. I just want to land that shoot. I have friends in the industry who are working with clients and they're busy. They've been busier than ever, but I am a little on the lean side. And the reason for that is because I don't just do $1,000 videos and just quickly come and shoot this thing and just, can you quickly whip something up for us? We've only got a small budget, but we know you can deliver. I'm not that guy. And so that means that there's some times when there won't be as much work in the pipeline. But if I can get in front of those clients and my marketing, the way that I've structured my business, and now my name is getting out there, I can get in front of those types of clients that I want to work with who have big budgets. Then I can be quoting $15,000, $20,000, even $25,000 jobs with bigger clients. And I've got one of those $25,000 quotes out at the moment, and it was quoted before the end of the year, but the client just had a few different things come up and a few changes, and my actual main contact there is on holidays until 1st of February. So things do take longer to get traction when you're quoting as I believe you should be. But what it does is it weeds out all those clients that are kind of don't have the budget and don't respect what you're going to put in and the effort you're going to bring and the results you're going to deliver for their business. So they're the types of clients that slowly but surely, if you're quoting correctly, you're going to weed out those clients and you're going to say to them, look, it's really, really awesome that you've seen my work and you want to work with me, but right now this just isn't a good fit because your budget is not where it needs to be. If you can come up to this kind of budget and give them a bit of a ballpark, say they've got $1,500 or $2,000, but you're thinking what they're asking for is around $4,000 once you do all the other steps in this video, then you can have that conversation with them and say, listen, really would love to work with you. I feel there's alignment here, but unfortunately on the price, on the budget, we're not on the same page. And my services are around about double what you're expecting to pay for this service. I can refer you to others in the industry who may be able to meet your budget at this moment, but unfortunately, I'm unable to work at that price. I know my value, I know what I bring, and I can't work for you at that price. And that will be a conversation that might be tough for you to have, but it's a conversation that you need to have in order to move into different levels of budget and better clients. You need to have a few of those conversations, put a line in the sand, know your own value, and then move forward on that basis. So that's my 5 tips and a lot of other information. And thanks for sticking around and listening and hearing me out on this one. I thought I was going to do a lot more breakdown on the actual computer screen, but essentially I think I've covered everything that's really important and the core principles and the core values around how to price your work properly. So get into it and maybe have a look at those things. Maybe up your margin from 25 to 35 or 40. Maybe if you haven't ever added margin, then add some and see the benefits of that as you get paid properly and adequately for what you're doing and the value that you're bringing. All right, well, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you got value from this video. Comment below if I missed anything or if there's anything that you would like to know more about. And if I sort of hit some points that you're thinking, oh, I wonder about this, how did you get from here to here? Comment below and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.